Now it's time for Lefties Losing It, and I regret to inform you that Robert De Niro has gone fully demented again. You'll remember his various anti-Trump rants, deranged, bile-filled attacks that show that De Niro is suffering from an advanced case of Trump derangement syndrome.
It makes me so f***ing angry. That we're here talking about a piece of like Donald Trump.
Ah, what a charming man. Not at all bitter or insane, is he? You know what? He's like the male Whoopi Goldberg. And talking about Whoopi, here she is claiming that Donald Trump will deport the coloured wives of white men. He'll break up interracial marriages and will then marry off the white men to new wives.
Talking about you, it's us. He's not going to, say, oh, you're with a white guy, I'm going to keep you from being deported. No, he's going to deport you and put the white guy with someone else. The man is out there.
What can you say about these people? They really should have never closed those asylums. And while we're on The View, let's have a look at this meltdown from Sunny Hostin, who blames Donald Trump personally for a joke told by comedian Tony Hinchcliffe at Madison Square Garden.
This Puerto Rican has something to say about the island that I love, where my family is from. Puerto Rico is trash. We are Americans, Donald Trump.
Why are you telling Donald Trump? It was a comedian who made the joke, this joke.
Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right. Okay.
Yep, it was Tony's joke. He's a comedian. He got a mixed response from the crowd for that joke. Do we expect folks to change their vote because of a joke about Puerto Rico? Well, Sunny Hostin expects it, and in this rather hysterical diatribe, she again seems to mislead her dim audience, giving them the impression that it was Donald Trump who told that joke.
We vote Donald Trump trash. And by the way, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin, Bad Bunny, Luis Fonsi, and Mark Anthony have over 345 million followers on Instagram. I think you only have 26 million, since you care so much about size. And we don't like what was said about Puerto Rico. And we know how to take the trash out, Donald Trump. Trash that has been collecting since 2016. And that's you, Donald Trump.
Oh, tone down the hyperbole, love. You're going to hurt yourself. Now, for the record, most Latinos that I know of, not the celebs she mentions, most Latinos have a pretty good sense of humour. They're not easily offended. They're not snowflakes. And they probably know that Puerto Rico has a significant trash problem, has had for many years. In any case, it was a joke. I don't recall the Democrats, including the likes of The View's Sunny Hostin, having a tantrum over this joke told recently at a Kamala rally, suggesting that Mexicans are thieving miscreants.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight...
I don't remember Kamala having to disavow that joke or the media having a mass meltdown about it. And of course, Don Lemon was joining in the insanity. Listen to this nonsense.
You want to see the October surprise that just might kill Donald Trump's chances of becoming president? This one stupid racist joke. And they released a statement almost immediately trying to distance Donald Trump from the comedian and that joke. But not before some really high-profile stars started reposting videos of Kamala Harris's support of Puerto Rico, like Bad Bunny, J-Lo, and Ricky Martin. They have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of loyal fans. That comedian, Kill Tony, may have just killed Donald Trump's chances of becoming president.
That is called wishful thinking, folks. Good luck with that, Don. Let's check in now with Tim Walz, who wants Republicans to stop all that name-calling.
I think the core principle, adhering to the Constitution, the rule of law, getting away from the name-calling and the division.
But wasn't it Tim Walz who just a few days ago called the world's richest man the genius sending rockets into space and using his considerable wealth to help save free speech. Wasn't it Tim Walz who called Elon Musk a dipshit?
Elon's on that stage, jumping around, skipping like a dipshit on these things. You know it.
And remember when the man who put tampons in boys' bathrooms in schools across Minnesota called Republicans weird and creepy?
You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see.
And here is Tim Walz pushing the dangerous lie that Trump's sellout rally at Madison Square Garden was some Nazi-inspired event.
Donald Trump has descended into madness over the last few weeks. And I think some of you don't miss on this. Go do your Google on this. Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there.
That's the weirdo accusing his opponents of using reckless language, really. Now it's time to check in with the woman herself, Kamala Harris. Here she is with a bunch of celebs, including John Legend, chanting, "We are not going back."
We're not going back. We're not going back.
Did you spot actor Mark Ruffalo there? How is he getting FaceTime with the Veep when he's out there pushing dangerous lies about Israel? The man is an anti-Zionist disinformation machine. Interesting company that she keeps, but don't expect the media to ask about that. The media won't even ask her about her many accents. But the content creators keep coming up with gems like this.
It's accent swish Kamala.
Oh, hello, young lady. Quite a marvelous day, innit?
Why does she talk so weird? Let me play with her.
Well, hey there, little nugget. I'm going to be the first black female president of the United States of America.
Man, this doll sucks.
Accent Switch Kamala can emulate any accent you like, as long as it grants her credibility.
A bonjour, you ramenez croissant.
Yes, Accent Switch Kamala can even do a German accent and comes with a bunch of useful accessories.
Guten Tag, Sie lieben ein Bratwurst, ufta, ufta, ufta.
Accent swish Kamala.
But wait, there's more. All new Accent Switch Kamala comes with 2 bags of campaign money, a blind eye for illegal immigration, and her own multi-laugh 3000 generator. Laugh in every way possible. It's Accent Switch Kamala and brand new Tampon Tim.
Let's have a look at how MSNBC covered the huge Trump rally at Madison Square Garden, which featured everyone from Melania to Hulk Hogan to Dr. Phil and Tucker Carlson, and also Trump's dream team. Those are the people expected to be part of his administration, the likes of Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Tulsi Gabbard and Robert F. Kennedy. It was a jubilant affair, but let's hear how MSNBC covered it. This is insane.
In that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally, a rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history,
and it wasn't just MSNBC where the lefties were losing it. One of their anchors brought some extra crazy to the Views desk on the ABC.
Well, I think it was everything that you need to know about Donald Trump in one weird white nationalist Nazi-type rally. And, of course, there's historic parallels to where and when this happened.
Joining me now is the Deputy Opinion Editor at Newsweek and author of Second Class, How the Elites Betrayed America's Working Men and Women. Batia Ungasagon, thank you so much for your time. What is your response to the manner in which MSNBC and other leftist media covered Trump's Madison Square Garden rally?
Thank you so much for having me. And also, thank you for your continued humor about all of these utterly ridiculous things, Rita. I know that I and all of your viewers so appreciate your perspective on everything. You know, it is so incredibly ridiculous the way they talked about it. They talked about this as though nobody had appeared in Madison Square Garden between the Nazi rally and Donald Trump showing up, when, of course, it is one of the most desirable venues in the country. Tons and tons and tons of people have appeared there. This rally was full of Jewish people, supporters of Israel, Black people, Hispanic people. The idea that it is a Nazi rally is utter wishful thinking by the left. And you have to understand the reason that they're doing this. When they call Trump Hitler, they're doing so because he has vowed to rid this country of the scourge of illegal immigration. And so what they're doing is they are comparing Hitler, who took away the citizenship of millions of Jews and then mass murdered them, with Donald Trump, who is effectively saying, I'm going to put Americans first, American citizens first, and take away the scourge of illegal immigration, which not only has brought a lot of violence to this country, but also has been a downward pressure on working class wages, because of course they come and they compete with the working class. So why do they do this? Why do they compare Donald Trump, who's trying to protect American citizens, with Hitler, who murdered German citizens who happen to be Jewish? And what they're trying to do there, Rita, is erase the distinction between citizen and non-citizen, right? They're saying that for Donald Trump to deport illegal immigrants who are non-citizens is the same as Hitler killing actual citizens. They don't want you to know that there is actually a difference between being an American and not being an American, because to them, it means nothing to be an American. They do not believe that Americans have the right to insist that it means something to be an American and that we owe something to our fellow Americans, because they feel that they owe them nothing. They have nothing but contempt for their fellow Americans, especially the working class.
Well, these comparisons with Hitler, they're not only offensive and absurd, as you've just described, but if you actually looked at that rally at Madison Square Garden, there were Israeli flags, there were plenty of Jews in attendance inside the venue and outside the venue in the overflow area as well. And the speakers were from all sorts of backgrounds. We had black speakers, brown speakers, and to characterize it as some sort of white supremacist Nazi rally is so absurd. But on your point about conflating illegal immigrants with legal migrants, that is something that the Democrats do quite deliberately, and the media allow them to get away with that. Why do you think that is? You mentioned that for a lot of them, being American doesn't actually mean anything, but surely those in the media would want to make that distinction, that there is actually a difference between illegal and legal migration.
They totally don't believe in that distinction. And the reason for that is that for the elites, the open border is very much in their economic interests. They talk about immigration through the lens of morality. We should help these poor people from other countries. But they think about immigration through an economic lens because the elites are the consumers of low-wage labor. They are the people employing all of these illegal migrants. And of course, they would rather pay an illegal migrant a fraction of what they would have to pay an American. So it is very much in their interest to open that border. It is the working class who pays for it. So this open border situation that the Democrats have been pushing since Donald Trump showed up on the scene has been an upward transfer of wealth from the working class neighbors of the elites into the pockets of the elites. And what's so ironic, Rita, is that through the 1990s, it was the Democrats who insisted that we have a strong border because their base was labor. It was the Democrats saying, Why would we allow millions of people to come here from other countries and undercut our workers? That's suicide. That is collective suicide. When Donald Trump showed up and said, wow, we should probably control immigration and protect our working class, the Democrats realized that he had picked up not just their agenda, but their working class base, increasingly of all races, as you so beautifully pointed out. The real threat that Donald Trump poses is not that he is a divider. It's that he has united the working class in one voice against the elites who hate them.
Well, this is why he's getting so much support from members of the Hispanic community, increasingly from members of the Black community. And I want to ask you about that, because we saw the Democrats kick an own goal when they sent Barack Obama out there to berate Black men for not supporting Kamala. And now Michelle Obama is out there lecturing men. Let's play this clip from a rally in Michigan. This is how we should view men, apparently.
If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. Prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety?
And she also suggested that if you don't vote for Kamala, you are either racist or sexist.
What in the world is going on? And it's clear to me that the question isn't whether Kamala is ready for this moment, because by every measure, she has demonstrated that she's ready. The real question is, as a country, are we ready for this moment?
She went on to demand that men put aside their anger and vote for Kamala. And she also suggested that women should demand their men do better and back Kamala. Will that messaging work, or is it just preaching to the converted?
It's so amazing. I mean, can you imagine asking for somebody's vote by telling them your only role here is to shut up and become subservient to some other group? Now, that's insulting enough on its own. But bear in mind that the last 40 years of Democratic policy has taken the jobs of American men of all races who are working class and either shipped them overseas, defunded vocational training, or imported an entire slave caste to do construction work. So first they sold these men out. They made it impossible for them to support a family on a single income. Then they called them toxic if they dared protest and say, wait a minute, maybe a society needs strong men. No, that's toxic masculinity. And now, to put the cherry on the cake, they're telling them, shut up, support women, or we will call you sexist and racist. And the worst part of this is that this election is pitting the real urgent concerns of working class men over fake, made up concerns of college educated and rich women. Why is Michelle Obama, one of the last people on planet Earth who will ever need an abortion, out there saying her life is in danger and all of these women's lives are in danger? They're not in danger. Donald Trump promised to veto a national abortion ban. They made up this concern, this issue, because it allows billionaire and millionaire women to pretend that they are the oppressed because somehow they are related tangentially to a woman who might need a 9th-month abortion for some reason, right? It is all about who gets to LARP as the oppressed. That's basically what they're doing here.
Well, you wrote in your book, Second Class, about the political realignment that we are seeing, where the privileged, affluent, often women, are leaning left, and the working class, those who are aspirational classes, you may call them, are leaning increasingly right. You argue America has broken its contract with its labouring class. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, the real divide in America is not left versus right. It's not, God forbid, racial. It's the class divide that separates out people with a college education from people who work with their hands for a living and do the jobs we all rely on to survive. And thanks to 40 years of Democratic economic policy, they basically use the economy as an upward funnel of wealth from the working class to the college educated, so that now the top 20% in America control over 50% of the GDP, and the working class is struggling. And that's why they're abandoning the Democrats, because the Democrats abandoned them. And I would say, even a little more subtly, they're not moving to the right. They are voicing a radically moderate center, which is exactly where Donald Trump is on every single policy issue, which again is why they call him a fascist, because the truth is such a threat to the Democrats. Donald Trump showed up and picked up the reasonable New Deal Democrat policies from the 50s through the 90s that represent labor, and that's why they have to destroy him.
Now, there's been a mass tantrum after leftist papers, the LA Times and the Washington Post, refused to formally endorse Kamala Harris. This is unusual for both papers. Why do you think they've taken that position? Because if you actually look at their output, they just churn out anti-Trump pieces day and night, non-stop. So why aren't they formally endorsing Harris? What's the thinking there?
Do you know what's so amazing, Rita, is these are the very organs that organized the coup against Joe Biden. So they spent all of this capital because they thought Biden was going to lose to get Kamala Harris elected or put at the top of the ticket without having won a single vote. And now that she's been at the top of that ticket for 3 months, they realize, oh, actually, we all knew Kamala all along. Like, it's the same person who failed to get a single vote in 2019. And they just don't want the egg on their face at this point. It's so amazing to see how when you mess with democracy, it takes its revenge. I think that's what we're really seeing here.
That's an excellent message. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Batia Ungar Sargon. Always a pleasure.